videotaping that, son? You videotaping that? You got my cell phone?
Thank you for calling. How can I help you?
Hi, I'm wondering if you have the new Dan Lorenzo CD.
How you spell his last name?
Lorenzo.
Thank you.
Okay.
This one's for all you musicians who take themselves too seriously.
So what we decided to do was tune down and really not have guitar solos.
Joe Perry was my image idol back in the 70s.
Doing a shameless plug. Shameless plug.
After Nonfiction ended, I thought that was the end of my musical career.
You have to get this album.
Check out the new Vessel of Light by Serpent Rise.
For God's sakes, please check that out.
But I didn't want him to say no because that would be so embarrassing to me, so I never asked him.
You don't have Nixon to kick around anymore.
I'm here with Hades, Dan Lorenzo. What's going on?
What's going on, man? I'm very excited to see Get Thrashed. How about you?
Oh, my God. This is epic. This is epic. All the metalheads. Can we call it that? Metal?
I think we can still call them metalheads, yeah. Brings me back to the 80s.
It's still like it's on the rise. It's like it's still happening. The scene is just resurging, or it's still happening?
Well, we all got old. Some of us got houses and kids and married, but we can still love great, heavy, fast music, you know?
Talk about your influences. What got you?
Well, when I grew up, I was into old Kiss and old Aerosmith, and then I discovered Judas Priest, and then once I heard Slayer and Exodus, it was all over. Hades was hopefully something more original. Hopefully we didn't get influenced too much by bands that were our age, but we brought some of the roots of the stuff that we grew up on. It was fun while it lasted, I'll tell you that much.
This is a riff I had for years. So simple, I know.
There's another part of that song where you go, dung.
Yeah.
Did you hear that first, or did you hear that after the song was kind of...
Yeah, no, I felt like it needed a quiet section before, because there's just two riffs going back and forth, so you needed to break up the monotony. I sent it to Nathan. I drove out to Cleveland to go meet him and jam with him, and we jammed in his basement.
The second part that I want to talk about that riff is like you got that little vibrato.
Well, as soon as I play it, so my vibrato. These two fingers, I don't want to say I can barely move them, but I hurt them pretty bad playing basketball a few times. And what it did, for some reason, so let's just say if you were going to play this song correctly, you would go. But it's easier for me to go. And I love my vibrato. It's probably not technically correct. You know, I never had guitar lessons, and my fingers don't really work exactly the way I want them to do, but somehow the limitation, it's made me have this kind of, like, I think, my own style.
Is it cool that I'm rolling?
Yeah. That's for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What is this?
Some old Hades CDs and a few.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, why not?
That's awesome. How's it going?
Everything's good, man. I brought the amp and my guitar's down here. I usually write and rehearse up there. So yeah, this is Casa Lorenzo.
You have a nice place.
Thank you.
And I'll be right up.
Need help?
Let me see what I can do in one trip. Thanks, buddy.
Right.
I'll be right up.
Okay. Jason, this is the part where I talk behind your back. Can't believe what I'm saying about you.
So today we have Dan Lorenzo on the podcast, old friend of mine, longtime friend of mine, and always fun to have an interview with him because they're not really interviews, they're like casual conversations.
Well, Mr. Striegel, you've been very good to me since I met. I have to say that I always appreciate your support in talking metal as well.
There is a new Vessel of Light album on the way, or is it out? Correct me if I'm wrong. It's on the way, right?
Didn't you get your copy in the mail?
I did. I didn't know if I got an advanced copy. I didn't know if that was advanced or what the deal is. So it's out.
No, that was it, man. It's out.
Cool. I remember a number of years ago, it kind of seemed like you were ready to wash your hands of the whole music thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. And it seems now there's a flurry of musical activity coming from you.
When you say I wash my hands of it, you're right. I wash my hands often because I'm a germaphobe, but I really was done with music.
Right,
I was kind of so disappointed after I did the release with Bobby Blitz, The Curse, The Room Full of Sinners, and when people didn't respond or even really know about it, I said, you know what? Screw this, man. I'm done. And a couple of years ago, I was on my way to Austin, Texas. I Googled stoner rock bands. I discovered the band Ancient Wisdom, the song The Opposition, which I turned you on to, right?
That's correct. Yeah, absolutely. I
and
love
you
them.
love it as well, right?
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah,
they're great.
And I was just so blown away by that one song. And
Stop you right there. Let's go back and see early vintage Hades stuff, nonfiction. Let's grow. Let's ease our way slowly into Vessel of Light. He did some of his best stuff with Bobby Blitz of Overkill. All right, let's roll it from the top. Camera rolling. That's red. Good. All right, so kind of tell me where this all started, like just the beginning.
So I grew up in Paramus, New Jersey. I was born January 9th, 1963.
Jane Peters not say no big shock, it ain't no bother. Then they're gonna whip you harder. Speak in the native tongue, listen till the band's done.
In 7th grade, I went to my buddy Scott Gallipo's house, and he was playing me some Kiss records. And I got home, and I said, my mom's gonna buy me one of the Kiss records. What was the one that you played me that was the greatest hits? He's like, they don't have a greatest hits record. I'm like, the one where every song is great. He's like, I played you Rock and Roll Over. It's not a greatest hits record. I'm like, oh my God. So I realized I loved music at that point, but I never loved it like when I heard Rock and Roll Over. I was like considered a genius. In the 5th and 6th grade, they would take me out of class in the 6th grade, put me with 2 Asian kids. It was called enrichment. And I realized then, probably a few lessons into enrichment, I was white boy smart. I wasn't Asian smart. And then 7th grade, they switched my school. None of my friends went to Westbrook, it was called. I mean, my friends all went to Westbrook. I went to Eastbrook. None of my friends went with me when they made the big switch. People are smoking pot, making out with girls. You know, my hormones are going. My nose grew really big. I remember this kid, Michael Solano, I'll never forget. He's now born-again Christian. And he was calling me the nose. I probably even considered suicide for a minute in 7th grade because things were so bad. And then I got some new friends, thankfully, and one of them became my guitar tech, Dan Garber. And I met him all the way back in 7th or 8th grade, which is pretty crazy, right? About a year later, I started playing guitar, and my best friend at the time, Paul Smith, he started playing a few months before me, and he could afford guitar lessons. Not that mine really couldn't, but I was embarrassed because I was already 15. I thought that was kind of weird that I was starting so late at life, you know? I practiced so much that after about 3 or 4 months, I was a little bit better than Paul, so he decided to be a singer. I begged my parents to let me drop out of school. I was in 10th grade. I said, look, I can tell I'm never going to wear a suit and tie. I'm going to be a musician. They're like, at least finish high school. I got straight A's in music theory and harmony in 11th and 12th grade. And other than that, I barely graduated. My father died when I was 19. March 3rd, 1982, 323, that number pops up for me all the time. My dad was my best friend, and I was like literally 19 going on 15. I was very, very sheltered, very immature. And my dad dying was just devastating, you know, feeling so bad, but it definitely helped me grow up a little bit. He was a big fan of the music I was playing. He even got into Kiss. He liked some of the Kiss and Alice Cooper songs I'd be playing, or Aerosmith or whatever. I remember him loving a few songs by them. You know, we really weren't playing shows until right after he died. He never got to see me play live.
So play me the first riff you ever wrote.
Okay. It's called 1978 because it was written in 1978. It ended up being a little bit like my guitar tech Dan Garber says, like Beautiful Creatures by Marilyn Manson. I mean, that was like 3 months after I started playing guitar. Silly, kind of, right?
I could see that as being something that you would have written right now.
Yeah, and it's funny because I wrote this riff. It was called Prometheus. It was when I'd been playing for 6 months. I'm playing it a little bit better than I would have played it back then, but it was very similar to what I'm doing now. So that was literally written over 40 years ago. I never did anything with it.
You've got like, there's a Black Sabbath in there.
And I wasn't into Black Sabbath until after Hades broke up. Even before I started playing guitar, I wanted to call myself Dan from Hades. I learned about the name in Greek mythology, so that version of Hades we played out all over New Jersey, from Nyack, New York, down to the Jersey Shore. We opened up for Twisted Sister in 1982. Hades was playing almost all covers back then, and we released a 45 called Deliver Us From Evil, and we were on Megaforce's first ever compilation CD called Born to Metalize. The riff I wrote was Hades' song called Rogue's March, derivative of the new wave of British heavy metal, which I might not play correctly. I can't even play my own things. I haven't played these things in a year. So let's not use that. I'm messing these riff-ups because I haven't played them in probably 30 years, but that was Rogue's March. You can check that out.
Oh, fuck, cool.
So then, I guess I got into heavier music, Judas Priest and whatever.
This is 82, 83?
Yeah, I guess, around 82. Right after my father died, I started writing more songs. I wrote onto Iliad. I wrote Sweet Revenge. I think I can remember some of Sweet Revenge. It's hard for me to play like that. It's just so not my style anymore. But so that was the bridge between the old Hades with Paul Smith and the new Hades with Jimmy and Alan and Scott.
Talk to me about, let's say, Leaders is probably the more popular one.
Yeah, I wrote the intro riff, Scott LePage really saved that song. He wrote two incredibly important parts for the Leaders because I was stuck. And Scott wrote a little riff that worked, that separated the chorus and the verse, and then he wrote the really fast part for underneath the guitar solo, which is fucking legendary. I love it.
You guys all right?
I want to introduce you to my friend Scott LePage.
Alan became a singer in 1985, and at that time I would write lyrics and melody lines. And Alan, because he didn't have the confidence maybe to say, hey, no, I want to, write lyrics and melody lines, he'd go to California with his buddy, and I would finish Legal Tender by myself, lyrics, melody line, everything, And then the second album, he said, I want to write all the lyrics and melody lines. I'm like, so I'm doing less now. And I know a lot of people, including Tour Records, have said to me, Dan, remind me, what's the difference between If at First You Don't Succeed and Resisting Success? I'm like, if at first Alan wrote all the lyrics and melodies, like, you should have written more melodies.
Help me get a little honest with ourselves, that's all to think. Who's wanting more alcohol? Respect when we argue over opinions.
I was happy with what he did at the time. I can't say that I listened to it a lot today, but, whatever, that's just my opinion. Scott leaving the band was a crushing blow to me because he was my absolute best friend. I just love the guy. I love hanging out with the guy. And we were talking to Dan Nastasi, and we said, we can't find anybody as good as Scott. He's like, the only guy I know is my next door neighbor, Ed Furman. What the fuck? Your fucking neighbor? Come on, really, dude? Like, you're gonna invite your neighbor to come audition for us? We're Hades. And the fucking neighbor comes down, Ed, and he's a great guy, great guitar player, very different than Scott. So it worked out really well. I mean, it was not as devastating to lose Scott after we found Ed, and we ended up doing If at First You Don't Succeed with Ed. I thought Ed and Alan, the best they've ever done was The Downside by Hades.
Black market warheads smuggled everywhere.
They crushed it on that record, I thought. I played bass on The Downside, and I'm really proud of that because I think because I'm so interested in bass lines, when I play bass, I believe I play like a bass player as opposed to a guitar player playing bass. So we put out 2 records with the quote-unquote the new Hades lineup with Resisting Success and If at First You Don't Succeed. We toured Europe in '89, we broke up.
What I wanted, what I longed for.
And this was a blow to me because I was Dan from Hades since before I picked up a guitar. I almost threw away my passport and said I'll never play music again.
Where do you
I remember thinking, I wonder what Hades will sound like in the future, if we'll sound like Metallica or we'll sound like Wasp. The first Wasp album was just classic. I never like to think, I want to be like Metallica, or I want to be like, I write what I write and that's what happens. If you said, hey, Dan, write another song like Old Hades, I couldn't do it. It wouldn't sound right. You know, I'd be forcing it. So I can't think about what I'm going to write. I just have to write about it and say, does this work for Hades, or is this a side project song?
Very, very good.
And that lasted for like a month or two. And then I realized I had no interest in Hades. And then I started a brand new band called Nonfiction.
How's it going? You fucking ready? We're from New Jersey, we're called Nonfiction, and this is what we sound like.
When Nonfiction started, it was Dan Nastasi, Mike Christie, Damon Trotta, and myself, and we were killer. We were on the cutting edge of a lot of things. You know, we were tuned down really low. People were super confused by us. I remember some guy saying to me, Dan, you used to be so heavy, you played so fast. Now you're playing so slow. I'm like, dude, it's even heavier. And people were like scratching their heads. Very shocking when Nonfiction came out. And then 2 years later, when Nonfiction is #1 in WSOU, we play Studio One with 8 opening bands, and they're all tuned down.
The song is from our new record. We just did a video for it, so you might wind up seeing our ugly faces on MTV if you're unlucky enough.
So Alan, you know, I actually like his melody lines better because there was more room to breathe as a one guitar band for me. I was no longer interested in trying to impress Jimmy Shulman or Tom Coombs with my musicianship. I just wanted to write riffs that were catchy and stuck in people's head. And I do remember saying to Alan, I told him, you have this tendency, whenever we play fast, you sing high, and whenever we play slow, you sing low. Let's mix that up sometimes. And, you know, he definitely grew a lot, and he wrote some killer lyrics, I think, for Nonfiction, some great melody lines. I remember when I wrote the riff to Put It Off. Mike Christie used to laugh at me because I used to go like this. Puff out my chest on stage when I played that part because I just felt like, ooh, I can fucking kick your ass. I don't care if you're Mike Tyson right now. When I play that riff, I'll kick your fucking ass, dude. It just felt more powerful. I guess because I always wanted to tune down, and the guys in Hades, Jimmy and Ed, they did not want to tune down for the most part. We put out a few records. We toured America with Overkill. We headlined our own. We did a lot of shows in America, and then we went to Europe in '93. It was kind of like me being liberated, me saying, I was right all along. We can play these slow, heavy riffs, tune them down. They sound so much fucking heavier. We don't need to show the world what great musicians we are. And, you know, the proof was, hey, we're #1 on WSOU for fucking a year straight. It's the only point in my life where I didn't need to have a day job.
I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. My name is Toxic Tommy from WSOU. You guys hear these guys a lot. Please welcome Nonfiction!
And then when we came home. I got a job at Steppin' Out magazine. I fell in love with my wife. And to me, again, that was it. Musically, I was done.
You never know, my love's so true.
I for sure thought I would never be in a band again.
I'd do anything for you. You are right where you need to be. In these woods, here with me.
Are you very religious, or?
You know, I met the Pope. My wife and I got married in Rome in 1997. I met the Pope. The priest asked me if I wanted anything while I was there, and I said, yeah, I'd like to meet the Pope. And he said, okay, Wednesday morning. It's like the same way I get backstage for Metallica when I
just ask?
Just follow me, we'll get in.
Act like you belong. But it's still, to meet the Pope.
No, we had to go through the Vatican Secret Service and everything. Yeah, it was a big deal. It was pretty cool.
What is your process for writing? Is it right here like this, or do you have
usually
a
up in my loft? Lately, I'll be sitting in bed at 3 or 4 in the morning, and I'll hear this riff. I'm like, oh my God, what is that riff? I'll jump out of bed, and I'll make a little video recording. Like, I believe this happened like that. I got tuned back down. So I'll jump out of bed at 3 in the morning, I'll hear a riff in my head, and I don't have to figure it out. I just start playing it. And Bobby Blitz said a nice compliment about me on the radio saying, I hear a riff in my head and then I play it.
Hey, this is Bobby Blitz from Overkill, from one of my favorite guitar players. He thinks it, he plays it, he records it. Dan Lorenzo.
I don't need to say, oh, let's figure out this riff in my head. I go... Like, I literally heard that riff in my head. So now you're stuck, though. You have one riff, and then so you just keep playing the riff over and over again until your hands just, they kind of know where to go next. So I'll be playing... And then I'm like, shit, what comes next? And then I eventually...
I'm going to stop you for a second, because those are two brains. Play the first riff. That, to me, that's in the Bennett. The waiting for it, right, waiting for it, then to hit that. To me, going into the other thing is another brain. There's something kind of genius about that. Also, are you thinking vocally?
No.
No melodies, nothing goes through your brain?
No, I mean, I'll hear melodies after I write something. When you can't come up with a good vocal line, what you should do is hum anything in key. Make it a bad melody line. The words don't matter at that point. And then take that bad melody line and refine it, make it a little bit better, and you'll figure out something that works with it.
Where the hell's Ron? Ron with Vicky!
Should we try to find Ron?
Yeah.
Wasn't he just up there?
Yeah, he was.
I learned something about myself from jamming with Ron.
That's some walk over there. Look outside it.
Time to go.
After Ron got cancer, you know, we all thought he was going to die. His brother told us he was going to die, and he wanted to record some Kiss covers after I get better. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, Ron. Why would we record Kiss covers? It made no sense to me. But you're not going to tell a dying guy no, right?
When I walk away from here, it will be for good.
So we did record some Kiss covers, and that led to my solo albums. But Ron and I will jam, and when Jimmy goes to the bathroom or whatever, Jimmy's late, he'll be like, 1, 2. And I'm like, you fuck. And then I start playing it. I'm like, what the fuck? But when I have Ron with me, he'll say, like, just play this song. And I'm like, dude, I'm not in the right. And I just start playing it. I might make some mistakes and probably will make some mistakes, but for the most part, anybody without a trained ear probably wouldn't notice that I made mistakes, you know? That's kind of thrilling. I mean, a few times Ron has done that, go, 1. I'm like, what a dick. I don't know this song. I just told him that. And by the time he hits 4, I'm playing along with him.
I love that. That's fucking cool.
It's funny. It's so weird. And it's a great exercise, you know, like I try and do it with other musicians or like Jimmy. It's like, it's a good ear training exercise. Like, we're going to play this song now. I don't know how to play the song. Okay, you will. You'll figure it out. You'll fake it anyway. Blitz and I weren't super close before the 93 tour. We knew of each other. We definitely weren't like buddies at that point. And we bonded over the New York Knicks, particularly in Europe. My record label, IRS, would fax me the Knicks playoff scores. And Dee Dee and Blitz were huge Knicks fans at the time. So touring with Blitz, we hit it off pretty well, Blitz and I. And I stopped playing. And then Hades got back together. And we did 3 records for Metal Blade, 1999, 2000, 2001. And then after that, I started putting out solo records. And after my first solo record came out, one of the few people who just loved it was Bobby Blitz.
You made me feel like a fiend, yeah. I don't know who to believe, no. You made me feel like a fiend, yeah. You cut me out, you fired up. I lost the words to fuck you up.
He's like, when you do the next one, I want to sing.
Fiend, yeah.
So on the second solo CD, I wanted to do Bright Light Friday. He came to the studio. He's like, I don't know that song. I'm like, you're kidding me. It's on Draw the Line. It's like, you got something else for me? I'm like, yeah, sing this one. Too Fast for Hate. So Blitz and I kept being friendly, you know, and then he told me he had some downtime, I guess, in 2006, and he wanted to try writing a project with me.
All right. Sweet, sweet, sweeter than your mother is. Come on now, baby, do you like it like this?
I always have riffs laying around, and when Blitz told me he wanted to write, I mailed him some riffs. And as soon as he told me, okay, let's make this a band, I sat upstairs. I remember so clearly writing Evil in the Bag, and probably in like 3 minutes.
1, 2, 3, 4. See no light, get it right. Your virtues are drag.
I remember him walking upstairs to my house, and I'm thinking, this is gonna be so awkward if I hate what he sings to my riffs. And it was the only song on the album where Blitz, his vocal line was following the guitar, and it was not good, it was not working. And I'm like, don't kill me, but this is like a big song. I'm like, your vocal line, it's not happening for this song. He's like, this is good. He's like, when we like everything, it's easy. He's like, when you don't like something, that's hard. He's like, that's good. And I'm like, oh, thank God. He's a big fucking famous guy, but he took it so well, and then he came back with a way better melody. And the first song we did was this. And as soon as he sang, it didn't matter what the lyrics were, it didn't matter what the melody line was, I knew he was singing in the right area.
And when you feed me, all's right.
A singer can ruin your song by walking on my riffs. My riffs are, I think they're big riffs, and I don't need a singer like competing with them. I need a singer who complements my riffs. And Blitz just knew right where to sing, so that was like thrilling.
All's right.
I fucking love what Blitz and I did that, and I really would like to re-release the record. It was put out through Locomotive, and we kind of shot ourselves in the foot. Blitz was telling everybody we were going to only do one show. When he and I decided to do a record together, the main thing, other than making a couple dollars, was let's record and put out a record that we will be proud of and still listen to 10 years from now. 10 years would have been 2017. I could still listen to The Cursed, Room Full of Sinners. I fucking love it.
Please do talk about Vessel of Light and talk about how Nathan is.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to talk about how I remember hearing that you did retire again.
All right, so we put out the Cursed record in 2007. The reviews in Germany were like, okay, whatever. WSOU started playing us, and then this single got banned. You know, they didn't like the name of the band or whatever. It's so annoying, and it wasn't a big seller, so I'm like, fuck it. If I do a record with Bobby Blitz that's this fucking good, Mike Christie and I, we really thought we were going to win like not an Academy Award. We really thought we were going to get trophies for putting out the Curse record. It was so strong, but such a small amount of people cared. I'm like, that's it. I'm just going to go play basketball for a few years. So now fast forward till about 3 years ago, I'm about to fly to Austin. Is that all right if we just jump into this?
Go for it.
Okay,
yeah.
So about 3 years ago, I was about to fly to Austin, and my wife and I are straight. We don't smoke pot or nothing, but she likes stoner rock. So I Googled Austin stoner rock. I found a band called Ancient Wisdom, and they had this song called The Opposition. And I watched the video. I'm like, this guy's wearing face paint. Whatever. Fucking good song. Let me listen to it again, because I actually like... I never do this. I never want to hear a song a second time by any band.
Like a god, a devil, a man, I am the opposition.
And I proceeded to watch the Opposition video probably 35 times over 3 days.
I am the one they call the Antichrist.
I was just blown away. I thought it was one of the greatest songs of all time.
Hail to thee, Lord Lucifer. I'll sing praises to thee.
So now I discovered the song Deathlight. Another Ancient Wisdom song, and I'm like, this is fucking ridiculous. This is just amazing music. I couldn't track them down. I couldn't find anybody in the band. Eventually, I found an email for Nathan Opposition.
What the fuck's up, New York City? We're busting the lights! Dead flesh and bone, cold steel stone. A river in the flood, when you feel blood rushing from your skull. Blood road, out of control. I'm the only one who knows. Leave your body where my body grows.
So we started emailing each other back and forth. Finally called each other. I called him, just said, man, I just love what you're doing, right? I probably wanted to ask him to let's do a record together because you're cool and you're young. But I didn't want him to say no because that would be so embarrassing to me. So I never asked him. So finally, Nathan sent me an email like, what's going on with our side project? And I'm like, oh, this is so... I'm like, Jada, my wife, I'm like, the singer from Ancient Wisdom wants to hear some riffs I have. So I mailed him what became Dead Flesh and Bone and Living Dead to the World. I drove out to Cleveland, I met Nathan, and we did this song. The first song we ever jammed on isn't on the first album. In fact, it's not on the second album either. We jammed this. This is the first song Nathan and I ever jammed together. I thought that was one of the best riffs I ever wrote. And Nathan just couldn't think of a melody line to it, so it didn't appear on any record until Thy Serpent Rise. So it's funny how some of the very first things we jammed together didn't end up on the EP. I went back to Cleveland a month later. We got free studio time, and in about less than 7 hours, we recorded 6 songs. My wife and I were flying to Hawaii. Flight was delayed 12 hours. I was emailing MP3s to Metal Blade and Argonauta, and Argonauta said, I want to do a deal with you guys before I got on the plane. So I secured a record deal after 1 rehearsal and 1 day in the studio.
Fuck.
It was amazing. So for Woodshed, I didn't want to drive back out to Cleveland. It was becoming a pain in the ass. So I asked J-Rod, could I record the guitars first to a click track and then he's like, yeah, I do it all the time. I'm like, oh, this is really weird. So I started, for the first time in my life, I recorded all the guitars first. And the first song I recorded for Woodshed was this. Started mailing Nathan more riffs and song ideas, and he calls me one day and he starts singing the melody line to Son of Man. I'm like, holy shit, man, this guy's like knows what he's doing.
Kids leave the room.
These songs basically, like I've always compiled riffs, and then I'll give those riffs to whatever singer I'm working with, and I'll mail them maybe 10 song ideas.
And then you'll develop
then I
further?
develop, yeah, exactly.
You got along with Nathan right away?
Absolutely. He's a Satanist, and I have a Jesus tattoo.
There's no clash there?
No, I just told Nathan, you can't write pro-devil lyrics. So he said, well, what do you want me to write about? I said, well, my wife and I are obsessed with the show Forensic Files, and now all of our songs are like as violent and crazy as you could possibly get.
I remember thinking this is going to be so weird. I'm handing Nathan a record. Guitars are finished for Woodshed, completely finished. He then did the drums, I did the bass, then he did the vocals, and it fucking worked. With Woodshed, we were both so excited about what we had accomplished. We're like, we at first decided we're never going to play out. We got a chance to open up for Life of Agony and Silvertomb. I spoke with Jimmy and Ron. I said, I got a gig. You want to do it? They were into it. That's how they got in the band.
I think we're fortunate because guitar player, bass player, and drummer live in the same area. And we're a tight unit. We know each other. We've been playing with each other on and off for many years. We can get together and play without a singer. And Nathan's just on the money. Our first show we ever did, it was the first show live. And
that was with Life of Agony?
Life of Agony. It was like a sold-out show.
It was at Bowery.
At the Bowery Ballroom. And we got out there and never rehearsed with Nathan, never played with him at all.
Life of Agony used to open up for Nonfiction, so Joey Z was nice enough to let us open up for them. After we got the record deal and we released the EP, I got excited. I think I started writing brand new songs right away. And then I did the same thing for Thy Serpent Rise, where I did all my guitars first. And I'm doing the same thing for the next album. I've already finished all my guitar parts for the next Vessel of Light record.
Talk to me about Nathan. He writes and he sings like you play riffs.
Jimmy Shulman will always say Nathan's my perfect writing partner. Just for whatever reason, we come from such different musical schools. Me on my AC/DC and Kiss, and Nathan on, bands I've never been heard of. But it just works together.
Talk about you having the simplistic riffs and the heavy riffs. He has a simplistic vocal melody style and even lyrics.
Well, when you say simplistic, I don't think of that as a put down at all, because you can't hum a complicated song. I mean, simple songs are the catchiest. So I don't look at that as a put down at all. I mean, Hades songs were very complex. I like simplicity. I mean, look at one of my favorite riffs ever. It's 2 chords. This is Peaked by Nonfiction.
We wrote this next song, what was it, 20 years ago? No, that's a long song.
You guys are fucking hungry, aren't you?
What is next? I was talking about the new album.
Yeah.
I need to hear a riff.
Yeah, but I can't do that because I don't want you putting it on the video. That'll be one of the songs.
So we can save that for right. When the record comes out. That's tracked and Ron plays on it and everything. I can't even picture what
he
Ron
does
would.
Jungle Beat. It's so cool.
That's cool. What's next?
Hopefully we'll finish our 4th record by Halloween and hopefully put it out in early 2021.
Perfecto.
Yeah, but dude, that was fun, man. I'll help you carry stuff out.
Operator! Hello, operator. I was hoping. Oh! Hello, operator. What should I do now? What should I do now? Operator. Hello, operator. Again. Operator. Operator. What should I do now, Jimmy? Operator. Hello, operator. Operator. Hello, operator. Operator.
Can I play my brother-in-law's favorite song of all time? I love this riff. Best of the Worst.